Hey folks, I've been watching a few music channels lately. I've discovered some channels that are not about instruments per se, but about music, about new album releases, about specific genres of music. Gosh, I watch videos that deal with classical music, various sections of classical, whether it's early or Renaissance or Baroque, romantic, modern, avant-garde, experimental. I'm a nerd that way. All different types of rock, pop, alternative mostly, indie, whatever they call it these days. All the different sort of genres, and it's come to my attention that people in this day and age really fixate on genreification and sub-genreification. It's become sort of a miasma of etymology that's often confusing. For instance, in the world of heavy metal, I understand the basic divisions in the subgenre categories, but sometimes they just blend. There are certain growly, shouty singers that I can't tell if they're death metal or black metal. They seem in between. Or what's death doom and what's funeral doom. Sometimes it seems like a lot of these channels have a real desperation to pigeonhole and confine and sort, almost with a Victorian passion. You know how the 19th century was all about genus classification and putting everything in family and genus types. We've kind of returned to that, and there's so many videos now about different types of metal or different types of prog or different types of jazz, really strict genreifications. Each subgenre is always splitting off into different, even more splintered subgenres. I mean, now you've got blackened thrash, death doom, whatever. It just seems to be getting obsessive. I watched something recently on, what was it? Hyperpop, and I'm trying to get my head around the distinguishing elements of that particular genre. What's the difference between that and EDM? I couldn't quite make it out. But yeah, we seem to be taking music and just diffusing it into all these myriad factions of really obscure but finely compartmentalized genres, and people are more worried about classifying music than they are actually listening to it or enjoying it or just letting it float across different genre types and variate. There are a lot of bands, particularly in the progressive arenas, that they really like to incorporate lots of different sounds in a particular album. So you might get a metal band that doesn't want to be a death metal band. They do want to do one song death, one black, do a little bit of thrash, throw in a bit of prog, and they don't really want to be put in one of those pigeonholes as people tend to do. And I'm sure it's the same with, I'm using metal because I've watched a few videos in that realm, so the terminology is fresh with me. But it's the same in other genres as well, rap, hip-hop as well. All of the sort of trap and recent developments in rap. I don't quite always understand the distinctions and the crossovers. I try to because I find it interesting. I'm not dismissive, and I don't like to make fun of stuff I don't understand. I think that's the height of ignorance. But I do sometimes wonder if we obsess too much about classification and where to put music in terms of mental genres than we do about just sort of not worrying about that and enjoying it. When you listen to a band, do you listen to the music, the lyrics? Do you experience the music immediately and firsthand before you worry about what kind of classification and genre it is? I think I do. I hope I do. But it seems when I'm watching a lot of videos that there's a lurch, or definitely a rush, a mad rush to sort of classify things even before the first listen is done. People like to lock up and zip down exactly where this belongs in music genreification. What do you think about this? I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on this. I'm sure it applies to all the different main categories of music. I know that country music comprised of many different subgenres. Certainly jazz, and I'm familiar with a lot of jazz. Certainly rock. Classical I talked about. But even things like Gothic rock, which is something I was into back in the day. I mean, what was termed goth and what was death rock were two slightly different things. And then we had dark wave and neoclassical dark wave, and it splintered off into all of these different things. And it's very, very interesting. But sometimes I think sometimes bands like to float across those striations of music types and not worry too much about where they belong. It's almost like mentally, because we've got rid of record shops, we're mentally filing where each band should go in our mind, because we have no physical library of music anymore. A lot of people don't have a physical library of music anymore, so maybe there's a psychological reason why we're driven to classify music as we listen to it, so we can file it away, in that particular genre. But anyway, I just thought it was interesting. It caught my attention as I was watching videos lately. Lots of great music channels on YouTube. I really appreciate the people who take the time to do record reviews, CD reviews, talk about bands, new releases, particularly new music, with 75% of the older generations clinging to the same 10 bands they've listened to all their lives and just sort of staying in the classic rock camp. It gets, for a guy my age, it gets tiring to hear people dismissing new music, and I'm glad for all these channels that take the time to review new releases and see what's coming out and keep an open mind, and to cast a wide net, because you're not going to hear good music if you just turn on the radio or go to popular sites on the internet. You really have to troll the wide seas to find good music. It's out there. You just got to look for it. But anyway, music genreification, what do you think? Are we obsessed? Look forward to getting your feedback. All right, folks. See you on the next one.